Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the campaign show. America continues to be in crisis amid economic turmoil, basically open borders and a flood of migrants coming into the country, a ton of crime, ton of violent crime all over the place, extremely unaffordable rent and housing prices. There was cocaine found at the White House. The Secret Service claims that they just couldn't figure out who left it there. Hunter Biden was hanging out at the White House around that time. Let's see what else. There was a guy who died on a pond on Martha's Vineyard who was Obama's chef, and the 911 elect by pitting a lot of the people who watch conservative media against an enemy, and the enemy that the conservative media has chosen is young people, particularly millennials and Zoomers, Gen Z. Millennial and Zoomer, these words have become buzzwords in conservative circles for the enemy, for the lazy people who don't want to work. Ungrateful, entitled, lazy millennials don't want to work. And that's the reason why everything is bad. That's right, Fox News told me so. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you want to look at some numbers, actually? Millennials are the biggest generation in the American labor force, working very, very hard to try to earn income to pay off the massive Social Security debt that many conservatives many conservatives take Social Security checks from the government. I know they paid into it. I'm aware. I've been told in caps lock many, many times they paid into it. At the same time, it's still money for the government that's creating a whole lot of debt. So if your ideology is based on the government not giving money to people, then are you gonna not take your Social Security check? I mean, anyway, that's the third rail of American politics. I don't care anymore because I just do this show and I just say whatever I think. According to Cantor, as of 2022, 40% of Gen Z have at least 2 jobs. 48% of Gen Z, according to Microsoft data, have multiple side jobs. And according to Fortune, 33% of millennials have 3 or more jobs. 33% of my very underrated generation of millennials have 3 or more jobs. Of course, even though we take the blame for the policies of 80-year-old Joe Biden, for whatever, I don't know how that works, or for Dianne Feinstein or Mitch McConnell or these old crones who are just lording over us, millennials actually are working very hard. And oftentimes, these multiple jobs, I mean, these aren't the kinds of jobs that a lot of conservatives are used to, at the law firm, at the hedge fund, or whatever it might be. These are the kinds of jobs where, in addition to the danger that goes along with delivering food to people's apartments and houses, these are also the kinds of jobs where a lot of people Yelp review the service. Millennials in their jobs oftentimes, and Zoomers, have to deal with a lot of hostile Yelp reviews. And, look, I mean, I understand that customer service is a big issue for a lot of people out there who have a little bit of money. I was actually overhearing a conversation recently. There was a black waiter who was a young guy, working hard at a pretty nice place, upscale place. And there were these 2 white liberal women. You can imagine. I mean, we've discussed on the show. I'm sure they watch Rachel Maddow. They drink their box wine, I'm sure. And then, the Hillary Clinton pantsuit set. And they were just going on and on and on about how there's this place in the neighborhood that has good food. Okay, it has good pizza, but there's a customer service crisis there. Okay? The entire neighborhood revolted against the customer service. I'm looking at this black guy who just kind of looks over at me like, man, I'm just like, they're not me. They're not me, okay? Same skin color, yes, okay? But they're not totally different cultures. I assure you, totally different cultures. Don't blame all of us, Jamal. It's not all of us. But they're just going, the entire neighborhood revolted against the customer service. Think about that word, revolted, okay? In their mind, they are the put upon oppressed. The customer service, the service workers are the people, are like King George III, I guess. And they're revolting. The white ladies are revolting against the customer service because the customer service is so bad. I'm sure a lot of Yelp reviews were left for those workers. And hey, for all you people out there working service jobs, unable to pay the massive rent. I mean, for instance, there are Nepalese immigrants who now own my grandmother's house where I basically grew up. And there was never any thought whatsoever that I would ever be able to live indoors in my grandmother's house where I have all those pleasant memories. The Nepalese immigrants could pay for it because they could get a mortgage, right? Can I get a mortgage after what I've said about Israel on the internet?
No.
I wouldn't bet on me. I wouldn't bet on me. And I say this to every girl who I've dated in recent years. Look, I wouldn't bet on me. When the Titanic hits the iceberg or gets rigged by, bankers to form the Federal Reserve to sink the gold, whatever your theory may be about the Titanic, I wouldn't blame you if you get on the lifeboat. I am a young white millennial man. I come from the first generation where they mass injected us as babies with all the poison. Inject the babies, right? Go to public school. And the entire time that I've been alive, my culture has declined totally. I mean, to the point where if you're a young white native-born American man, I mean, they hate you. The normies hate you. Because think about it. They watch Lifetime movies where the white guy in the polo shirt is always the killer at the end or whatever it is. And they're just programmed to think that young white men are the problem. And so, I mean, that's just kind of what it is. And for a long time, conservative media has been extremely out of touch. And not only out of touch with this problem of the fact that there's not going to be a future in America because, like, what's happening now is just kicking every single young person. Ha, ha, ha! Kick you some more. Yeah, I'm raising the rent again. Ha, 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 right? And that's the system. Well, you should work harder. You should get another job. Oh, really? I should get another job? 33% of millennials have 3 or more jobs. 3 or more.
They got to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Get 4 or 5. I mean, really.
4 or 5. You know how many Yelp reviews that would be against you if you had 5 jobs? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has the highest favorability among all the presidential candidates, according to some numbers that he was just recently promoting. And I was on a Twitter space listening to him talk where he's talking about we can beat DeSantis easy. We can beat Trump. We can beat Biden. If you look at my numbers, well, here he is talking to Conservative Inc., shill, talking head, Iraq war, neocon, guy who tried to screw over Trump in the election overtime, Sean Hannity. Here is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. taking him to school.
I've seen the disintegration of the American dream and the American experience. I've seen not only the social and economic deprivation that now exists in this country that's like what I saw in Latin America when I was a kid, and I never dreamed I'd see it in this country. 57% of Americans can't put their hands on $1,000 if they have an emergency.
How scary is that?
35% of people in this country do not make enough money to pay for basic human needs for transportation, housing, and food. So they have to make choices every day. They have to listen to the baby crying in the room next door and have to wonder whether that baby is $30 sick or $40 or $200 sick before they bring him to a hospital. They have to choose between heat and food, between medicine and food.
I hear everything. I'm listening very closely to what you're saying.
Well, maybe they should just stop spending so much money on Starbucks and avocado toast.
The only difference where we might separate here is whether or not you think it ought to be a government program. I think it's free market economies
free market. Here we go.
Inspire entrepreneurs and you have the freedom
those
and
entrepreneurs.
the ability
Let's talk
to
about the
bring
free market
goods
in a minute.
and services to market versus, say, the government giving you your bare necessities. I mean,
yeah, of course, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to live on the government dole. We don't have free market capitalism in this country. We have corporate crony capitalism. We have
The Fox News audience is applauding for this.
We have a system of cushy socialism for the super rich. This brutal, savage, merciless capitalism for the poor, and it's all designed to strip mine the middle class of this country of all of their equity, all of their assets, and move it to the upper echelons.
Yep, and that's what the scamdemic was partially all about. And
I disagree. Yeah, I think 2 things. One is his last name is Kennedy. and he's Robert Kennedy Jr. And second of all, Joe Biden is an incredibly weak candidate. I don't think people are supporting him because of these conspiracy theories. I think they're supporting him because of his name and because they want an alternative to Joe Biden.
Or they might like his message on the environment, which he's been on for decades. I mean,
just
that's
take
really
a photo
bad.
of Carl's whiteboard with all the base stuff on it.
He was never
Be like,
on the
see, we're
Green
winning.
New Deal. He was never on
Even
electric
Carl.
chargers running from California to the state of Maine. He's a different kind of Democrat. The kind of Democrat that, frankly, you and I grew up with. Now, another topic, because you...
It's just so funny to me that Karl Rove, after all these years, holds up a whiteboard saying Sirhan did not kill Robert F. Kennedy. Like, you know how long I've worked for this moment? But, of course, he doesn't believe that, I guess. Or well, I mean, he's a lying sack of, garbage, obviously. Warmonger. And just all-around bad guy, Karl Rove. So, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. continuing to crush it. Oh, by the way, you know who's not having a very good time? Will Chamberlain. Do you know Will Chamberlain? Not Wilt Chamberlain, the basketball legend. No, Will Chamberlain is a tool, rhino tool, pretend conservative, who maybe he'll end up out on the unemployment line and he can learn how other people are living. Other people who don't get conservative Inc. jobs on the DeSantis campaign. DeSantis campaign apparently unraveling, not a lot of people. Yeah. So weird how like the exact opposite of what's good is what a lot of people think is good because of the super secret behind the scenes. But is there any evidence that that this military team of white hats actually exists? Because I haven't seen the deep state get drained yet. Oh, well, you just don't know. Biden had to get in there to show you how bad it is. Really? Because then Q's kind of a jerk then. Okay, if Q contributed to putting Joe Biden in to make my life worse, so that I become even more desperate to vote for Trump. Q's kind of messing with me there a little bit. Of course, the whole thing's nonsense. Now, don't get me wrong. There are satanic child pedophile networks, obviously, which we report on all the time. But if you're trusting the feds, if you're trusting the white hats, if you're, if you're going around saying that the Jesuits are behind the banking and all of it. Have you heard this one too? The Jesuits. Or perhaps the Operation Paperclip Nazis. Still in charge of everything. The banking, the media, all of it. No. Operation Paperclip is a real thing, but...
Oh, Admiral Byrd, yeah.
But, and the Jesuits are a real thing and whatnot. But I think I don't know. I feel like maybe there's a group that a lot of the QAnon supporters are missing when it comes to pointing out who is behind a lot of the banking and the war and stuff like that. So we'll just have to, I guess we'll just have to wait for some more Q drops to figure out who that group might be after all these years.
Those pesky Colombians at it.
You think
again.
it's the Colombians, maybe?
They could
It's
run in the banks, run in Hollywood. You know how they,
I just assume they're going to blame the Irish. It's one point or another. As Chris Rock said, that train's never late. Well, let's see. Oh, speaking of the Irish, Mary Lou McDonald. She's the Sinn Féin leader in over there in Ireland. Sinn Féin normally associated with radical nationalist politics, but in recent years it's sort of been transformed into something different, and they're gaining a ton of popularity with a populist message in recent years because Ireland has this huge housing crisis like we do here. The young people are leaving Ireland. They're not able to get housing. And then, of course, Ireland is under migrant invasion. And the migrants, of course, are, getting a little booster seat to try to get indoors. Whereas a lot of the young actual native Irelanders are becoming homeless. And I've seen this with my own eyes. I was in an area, I won't say where, but it's basically like anywhere else in America now, where I just saw a ton yelling about how Ilhan Omar doesn't support Israel. Anyway, Mary Lou McDonald, Sinn Féin leader, here's what she had to say in a debate a couple years ago about the housing crisis.
If Fianna Fáil were the party of the developers, Fine Gael are the party of the landlords. What we need is a new government that will accept that we have a housing emergency and that will act purely in the interests of the citizens who can't...
Let's go. Let's go. I really think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. should study Sinn Féin and what Mary Lou McDonald and her party has done in recent. People don't want to work. They should all be replaced by Guatemalans. America first. Why are you putting America first at the end of that? That's not the same thing. But I mean, it just is what it is. That's how the money works on the conservative side. The GOP is all about Israel, all about Wall Street. And so they just slap America first messaging on conservative, globalist talking points. Honestly, that might even be more damaging than not even saying America first at all, you know? So they totally co-opted that slogan and that messaging. But, you know, the conservative party, the Republican Party, you know, they're facing an existential crisis. The young people don't want to vote for them. And you're not going to make the young people vote for you by caps lock comments all day, every day about how lazy we are. We ain't lazy. 33% of millennials have 3 or more jobs. I want to show these statistics to every single conservative Inc. person as soon as they start their whole millennial propaganda about how bad we supposedly are. I'd really like to show them that. And thank God for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for shifting the paradigm in the right direction. I mean, if you talk about America first, maybe you believe that America is the economy. All right? And I know a lot of conservatives believe that America is an economy first and a country second, and that everything has to be for the economy. And if the gross domestic product, the GDP, is up, then therefore the economy is good, right? Well, that's not true, okay? The economy is not good, regardless of what the GDP is, because the people are suffering. See, this is the fundamental difference between populism and conservatism. Conservatism believes that the people of the nation state should serve the economy. You have to fit into what the economy says is your role. You have to, you know, put the economic interests of corporations above the interests of the people. And I don't believe that. I believe that a nation state is comprised of the people who inhabit the country. The people who have a birthright. Yes, if you're an American citizen born here, you have a birthright to have something, okay? Because you contribute to it. You contribute to it through your labor. You contribute to it through your ideas. A country is the people, okay? Corporations are not people. I don't care what Mitt Romney says. I don't care what the Koch brothers say. The people of the country need to be looked out for. And so it's not socialism to say that you must have some protectionist policies to protect the people. And if that means going around, as Mary Lou McDonald has been talking about, and saying to the landlords, no, you can't raise the rent anymore during a time of inflation when our people are suffering, well, maybe that is the role of so-called good government. I don't believe in good government, but if you are going to use government to achieve something, I think that's a pretty virtuous thing to achieve.
I agree.
And I know that I'm going to get some caps lock angry emails about that one, about how I'm ungrateful and how I just don't want to work. I get them all the time. Nancy Mace is one of these rhino Republicans. I'm sure she's one of the heroes in Conic media. Nancy Mace stands for Israel. Here's Nancy Mace talking sex at the prayer breakfast.
But want to thank you for pulling this together. Another year, another standing room only event. And when I woke up this morning at 7, I was getting picked up at 7:45. Patrick, my fiance, tried to pull me by my waist over this morning in bed. And I was like, no, baby, we don't got time for that this morning. I got to get to the prayer breakfast. And I got to be on time. And a little TMI. But he can wait. I'll see him later tonight. But I was here early today for you, Tim. And I think everybody was here early for you today.
There's Nancy Mace at the prayer breakfast. Okay, Nancy Mace, thank you for your remarks at the prayer breakfast about the sex.
What a fantastic sacrifice.
But Nancy Mace, have you seen this clip of her playing this really gross drinking game? Reportedly, our tipster is sure that this is her. This is Nancy Mace, according to our tipster. And, here is a very, very gross drinking game that's just kind of disgusting. Let's take a look at this clip. It's a woman.
Oh, don't do
That's pretty gross.
She's so gross.
Well, I think we're not gonna look to the GOP here in America for any kind of insight or any kind of hope. Maybe overseas, people are a little bit smarter. Maybe Canada's incoming Minister of Mental Health can put things in perspective for us.
How much vitriol do we have to see of honk honk, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler, do we need to see by these protesters on social media?
Really, Minister of Mental Health? Honk honk stands for. I mean, I don't think so. I don't know about that one.
Like, what does she think about Hulk Hogan's tweets? He signs off with HH. You know.
Really, Hulk does? Yeah.
HH. Yeah, Hulk Hogan. What else is it? What could it be? What could it possibly be?
Honk honk.
Honk honk. We all know what that means.
Oh my. Well, here in this declining strip mall labor colony, I know a lot of people are getting out of this strip mall labor colony. I'm just gonna be straight with you. It ain't gonna get any good while Biden's in there, unless it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or a very, very, very different Trump administration this next time that has a whole lot fewer neocons in it. We're going through some stuff. We're going through some bad times. And, look, if you're in a McDonald's drive-thru, maybe you might witness a fight between an employee and somebody going through the drive-thru.
I've been here for almost 17 hours. I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of my drive-thru.
Fuck you, you little fucking bitch.
What'd you say, motherfucker?
Let's go.
Get the fuck out.
His Yelp
Fucking
reviews all
bald-headed
day.
ass. Come over here, beat ass your ass.
You little fucking bitch ass, motherfucker.
Fuck off, motherfucker. You fucking retarded.
Get in the truck.
Get your ass back in your fucking
I'll
car.
beat your fucking head in.
Get your ass back in your fucking car, retard.
Little fucking bitch.
Yep, you're getting fired today.
You know what? You can suck my dick.
Lose your job.
He slammed it.
Modern Americans, many of them, I'm not saying all, but many, have this huge sense of entitlement from being in a consumer culture.
Right.
But that sense of entitlement, it doesn't come out at some kind of like 4-star, steakhouse or something where it comes out at McDonald's at the drive-thru. Like that sense of entitlement. It's like, do you know where you are? You're at McDonald's. Like, be thankful that they give you your slop and then just drive away, right? But, the workers don't want to be there. I don't go to McDonald's. I don't go through the drive-thru. But, the sense of entitlement among a lot of customers. I mean, I've been in the service class. Let me just tell you. I mean, you would think that the average normie in this country is like a Roman emperor by the way that they treat the service class. And you ain't ever gonna hear the GOP talking about the plight of the service class. And I'm sure you probably will hear a lot of GOP people railing against any raise to the minimum wage, any student debt relief, because that's Mr. Zelensky's money, right? We know what's up. We know who the GOP works for. But I don't work for anybody, obviously. You've noticed my wardrobe here on the show. But, thanks to some very, very good people at Vanish Gun Holsters, the show is still on the air. Amen. Inexplicably still on the air. And I'd like for it to continue to be on the air. And this is a really good gun holster. And I'm going to do this in my John F. Kennedy voice. I haven't honed it and refined it as much in recent years, but now that there's a Kennedy in the race, I got to bring it back. Ready? Christian gun owners should be aware of an unfortunate trend that is putting people in danger. Millions of concealed carrying gun owners have made a huge mistake with their holster. Sadly, their holster is so uncomfortable that they've stopped carrying. But now we have Vanish Gun Holsters, vnsh.com/Patrick. Thousands of customers say that it is the most comfortable holster ever. And when you get one, you will never stop carrying. This holster also saves you money. That's because it fits 99% of all semi-auto handguns works without a tactical belt, lets you carry in multiple positions, and carries 2 fully loaded magazines. And best of all is that because you're a supporter of our podcast, you can get it for $50 off. Just go to vnsh.com/Patrick to see if your gun will work with it and to activate your discount today. Normally $130, you'll get a steal as a supporter of our show. Go to vnsh.com/Patrick today to claim your $50 discounts. Thank you to Mr. Sorensen for the text. Well, we love it. We love it. We love it. You know, I'm such a Kennedy buff, too. I guess that comes from growing up in New England and being Irish. It's just like, I know everything about that family, basically, you know? And it's cool that, like, wait a second, this awesome candidate who's trying to save us is in the race, and it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s son. You know Biden has a bust of Bobby Kennedy in the Oval Office because he tries to pretend that Bobby Kennedy was my hero, right? Now his son is literally running against him, being like, enough of your evil. It's a new day. And then he'll get in there, and then hopefully he'll save the Bobby Kennedy bust. That Bobby Kennedy bust, there must just be a single tear rolling down his face every single day as Joe Biden sits in there having meetings with the CIA, which of course killed Bobby Kennedy. But Bobby Kennedy Jr. doing some great work. So we're going to be plugged into to what he's doing. Instagram.com/the.campaignshow. You can go there. You can find the real truth. You're not just going to get a bunch of spin about who's not supporting Israel today. You're going to get real news, real insight, real analysis. You can follow me on Gab. You can follow me on Twitter, at least for now. And you can go to patrickreports.com, which is my personal website. See all of the big scoops that the conservative influencers have stolen from me over the years. I'm still here, baby. Thrift store clothing. Boxed into a corner, but you know what? I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on The Campaign Show.